All right, Claire, my watch just struck 1 o'clock Eastern. Is it okay if I go ahead and kick things off officially?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, good afternoon if you are on the East Coast, and good morning if you are on the West Coast or somewhere in between. Thanks for being here for today's Bloomerang webinar, Marketing and Fundraising Together at Last. And my name is Stephen Shattuck, and I am the Chief Engagement Officer over here at Bloomerang, and I'll be moderating today's discussion as always. And just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin officially. Just want to let you all know that we are recording this presentation, and I'll be sending out the recording as well as the slides later on this afternoon. So if you have to leave early, or maybe you want to watch the program again, or just review the content, or maybe share it with a colleague, you'll get all that from me. So don't worry at all. You'll get that stuff from me this afternoon right to your email inbox. And as you're listening today, please feel free to use that chat box right there on your webinar screen. I know a lot of you have already, so thank you. We're going to try to save some time for Q&A. If we have some time left, we'll definitely get to your questions, but we'd love to see your thoughts throughout the presentation. I'll be keeping an eye on those throughout the session, so don't be shy. Don't sit on those hands. You can also tweet at us if you are a Twitter person. I know we always have a few every webinar here, so don't be shy about that at all. Just use the hashtag Bloomerang, or you can tweet us right at Bloomerang Tech, and I'll see those as well. And one last bit of housekeeping, if you have any issues with the audio through your computer speakers, try switching to phone audio. We have found that audio by phone is usually a little bit better than the computer audio, since it doesn't rely on internet connections and software and all that good stuff. So if you have trouble, don't give up on us completely, and if you don't mind dialing in by phone, try that before you totally give up on us. There is a phone number that you can dial in the email from ReadyTalk that went out around noon Eastern today, about an hour ago. There's a phone number you can use there, so try that. And if this is your first Bloomerang webinar, I just want to say an extra special welcome to you folks. We do these webinars pretty much every Thursday. We only miss a couple Thursdays out of the year whenever I need a break. So we definitely welcome you if this is your first Bloomerang webinar. And if you aren't familiar with Bloomerang, if you haven't heard of us before or not sure what we do exactly, well, in addition to those webinars, we also provide donor management software. So if you are interested in that, maybe thinking about switching sometime soon, or just kind of want to see what Bloomerang is all about, check out our website. Do that later on. Don't do that now. Wait till this awesome presentation is over. But we invite you to visit our website later on. You can even watch a quick video demo and see the software in action if you want to. So do that later on today. But for now, you guys are in for an extra special treat today. I think now, Claire, this is the most registered for webinar we've ever done. We broke 1,500. So we got a lot of people wanting to hear from you. So Claire, thanks for being here today. It's awesome to have you back.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to brag on you real quick. You're one of our favorites. I never get tired of introducing Claire because she's so awesome. She's done webinars for us, of course. She's one of our favorites. She's spoken at BloomCon, our event, always one of the highest rated speakers we have on the webinar series. If you don't know her, you got to follow her. Check out her blog. She's going to give you a lot of resources here today for you to check out afterwards. But just to brag on her real quick, she's got over 30 years of experience working with and for nonprofits. She was recently named AFP's Outstanding Fundraising Professional of the Year. It's a big-time award for sure. Does a lot of speaking, does a lot of teaching as well. She is a CFRE instructor. Of course, she's a CFRE herself. She also is kind of a mainstay on the For Good webinar series in addition to the Bloomerang series. And you may see her byline in Nonprofit Pro magazine, as well as a lot of other blogs, including the Bloomerang blog. I'm excited for this one, Claire. I have a wife who works in marketing at a nonprofit, and I know I always kind of think I represent the fundraising side at least a little bit. So this is going to be a fun one. So I'm really looking forward to this one for a long time, and I think a lot of other people are too. So I am going to pipe down and let you tell us all about breaking down those silos. So take it away, my friend.
Okay, thank you, Stephen, and thanks to everybody for being here today. I'm really excited to talk about this issue because it's really been near and dear to my heart. Ever since I first began working for nonprofits as a development director for the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, 35 years ago. So I did, before I told you more about why that was important to me, I had an introductory slide. I'm going to skip right over it because Stephen did a great job. And I want to tell you a story about the Conservatory of Music and why this became so important to me. So after being there for a while, I started to realize that we had a real kind of branding disconnect. That in development, what we would message to people was that we were preparing tomorrow's professional musicians. And we were looking for donors who were interested in paying the tuition of an aspiring musician who would be in the opera or the ballet or the symphony. And so those were the kind of donors that we found were the best prospects for us. The marketing department, however, primarily talked about how we offered more free concerts than anybody else in the city, hundreds of free concerts. So then they were kind of targeting people who didn't have a lot of money, who wanted to go to free stuff and chamber concerts and rock stuff and experimental stuff. So it was like a really different kind of message, and it wasn't at all integrated. And so I thought, hey, this is kind of nutty. Like, we really should be working better together. So today we're going to talk about these 5 fundamental things that you really need to consider to be sustainable in the 21st century in a post-digital economy. We're going to talk a lot about how marketing and fundraising are vastly different in 2018 than they were in 2007 or 1997, and how you need to adapt to changing consumer behaviors, how you need to align development and marketing so that they're both serving bottom-line organizational objectives, how to prioritize the donor experience to build loyalty, and that you really need to invest in this if you're going to raise both awareness and money. I have this quote up from Brian Solis, who wrote The End of Business as Usual. Disruptive technology has fundamentally changed how people communicate and transact business. And marketing and fundraising, communication, is really at the heart of this shift that's taking place. So before we get into the meat of today's presentation, I've got another Brian Solis quote I want to share with you. This is your time. This is our time. But these times are different. And what comes next is difficult to grasp. How people communicate, how people learn and share, how people make decisions. Everything is different now. The people who will keep you in business or running tomorrow are the very people you're not reaching today. You're going to get the slides later. I would like you to go back to this thought later and really think about what it might mean for you. There is a lot more competition post-digital revolution. It's not just that there's thousands more charities being created. It's that we're competing with Nordstrom and Amazon and Overstock. Like, all of these online retailers create a lot of noise. And it really takes a village to be competitive today. So we really need to knock down the marketing and fundraising silos. If you picture the silos standing upright, knock them down on their sides and create a pipeline so that we can have a free flow of information between marketing and fundraising. So I'd like to begin with a quick review just to remind you how dramatically times have changed. So in 1997, the best-selling mobile phone was this big, heavy Motorola D160, and it was used as a phone. No browser, no camera, no mobile data. And 1997 was also the year that weblog was coined. And now blogs are ubiquitous. I have one, you may have one. They're an integral part of our online culture. As for social media, Zuckerberg didn't even begin to write the code for what would become Facebook until 2004. There was no Twitter until July of 2006. The iPhone was introduced in 2007. There was no big data. There was no cloud. It wasn't that long ago, but the world today is vastly different. It's super connected. It's socially networked. People are overloaded with information. It's very fast moving. People email more than they send letters through the mail. They text rather than call. And this behavior is not just confined to one generation. It's been termed Generation C, or Generation Connected, and it knows no demographic boundaries. So 2018 plus, moving forward, is all about connecting to your audiences and also connecting to each other internally. And this is stuff that I really strongly believe if you ignore this, you do it at your peril, that you really have to adapt to changing behavior. So these are foundational concepts, Generation C, that all generations connect online, that people find you more than you find them. Previously, the primary, if not the only means of learning about you or learning about any business or product was through a salesperson. But today, buyers are 60 to 70% of the way through the decision-making process before they ever even engage a salesperson. So they're already making decisions about you and your nonprofit brand before you even know they exist. Because people look online. They use search engines. They look at social media. It's word of mouth on steroids. So again, this is getting to why marketing and fundraising have to work together and share responsibility for creating awareness and building the desire to become further engaged with you. So we all need to kind of think about our sales funnel, or whatever you call it. And this is important, so I want to review the traditional marketing and development pipeline. And they are designed to move people along a continuum. And the marketing to sales pipeline and the development to fundraising pipeline are fundamentally alike. And if you look on the left, creating awareness, that's where the strategies are the more broad-based, and you're dealing with masses. And then you look, as you go further to the right, it gets more honed down to the point where you're able to deal with individuals. And as you move from left to right, traditionally your ability to influence individual actions grows. So we used to move from branding and PR and advertising and print media in the orange squares to more targeted things like direct mail and telephone and face-to-face. With the digital revolution, the continuum has become less linear because methods of engagement have evolved, especially in the green square where we're creating desire and getting people more involved with us, most notably online with web-based constituent relationship management systems. And development and marketing really have shared goals here. Everything is about the constituent relationship, the donor experience, working with people at whatever point they are along this continuum of engagement. So I said it's not so linear anymore, but before we leave the linear model, I want to show you a difference between then and now, because it's easier to see it kind of as linear, although this is more the marketing funnel, which for those of you who are in marketing, you're familiar with that. Those of you who are in development can see it's like a donor pyramid, only flipped, where you're bringing people in on the mass scale and funneling them through to the point where they might make a purchase. There is a major shift underway due to technology that is creating a different dynamic between the marketing and the sales folks, or the marketing and the fundraising folks. the marketing folks used to be primarily responsible for filling the top with leads, and then sales and fundraising would pull the leads through the middle and lower portions of the funnel and close the sale or close the gift. And in theory, this seemed reasonable, but in reality, it was kind of flawed because it typically created a sizable rift where sales folks were dissatisfied with the leads that marketing was delivering and felt like, well, we're the only ones that really care about revenue. And marketing folks felt that the salespeople weren't able to convert the leads that they fed to them. And they felt like, well, we're the only ones that care about strategy. And the result was marketing worked harder to generate more leads, thinking that, well, quantity will triumph. And sales ended up chasing more unqualified opportunities. Fundraisers were looking at prospects that weren't very viable prospects. So this is frustrating to everybody. Entered the digital revolution. Over the past 10 years, two important things happened. People dramatically changed how they access information, and our marketing toolkit got way more powerful, especially in the upper and middle parts of the funnel. There have never been so many tools to connect with so many people at such scale and efficiency. So now marketing can play a bigger role in the fundraising process by targeting and engaging prospects with what I call listening tools, where you get to learn more about what floats particular people's boats, like search engine optimization, CRM, blogs, social media shares, Google Hangouts, Facebook forums. All of these things help the donor through their research process in learning about you. And so it's important for fundraisers to know about all of these tools out there for getting to know donors better, because if you don't know about them, you can't ask the marketing folks to use them. And then now we've moved way further down on the right side, as you see, where marketing people are doing a lot more stuff to give us much clearer ideas of the prospects that we're dealing with, so that salespeople, fundraisers can spend most of their time with prospects who are already deep into the funnel and likely to buy or give. All right, now I want to show you how I think it really is working today, which is not this two-dimensional linear kind of thing, but what I call a content marketing vortex, where the customer experience is what we focus on. So the forces don't work so much up and down or through a funnel, but in and out. And entry can be at any point. And we kind of have this kinetic collection of content in varying topics and lengths and formats. Think about the content that you have, where you have emails, you have social media, you have stuff on your website. You don't know exactly where people are going to come in, but you do need to know what the purpose is of every piece of content that you create, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. The thing that's really changed is that the burden of establishing confidence in your brand has shifted from you. It used to be kind of the exclusive province of the seller, and that was known as outbound marketing. You'd figure out what you wanted to say and spout it out there. But it's shifted from there to the sourced province of the crowd, which is called inbound marketing. And you can't control where people are going to first meet you, nor can you control what is the first message to which they'll be exposed. So you really need to think about all of your messages and how they work together. And then donors have a lot of choices out there too. So they're getting information blasting at them from everywhere. So their loyalty has become a bit promiscuous. So we need to think more than ever before about the type of content that we create that builds loyalty, not just that acquires people for a one-time transaction. So because of all of this madness that's going on, we can no longer afford what I consider the luxury of having separate marketing and development departments. it's a huge duplication of resources. It's really a waste. And it's really, I think, likely that the nonprofit fundraiser of the future will need a significant amount of marketing DNA and vice versa if you really want to best serve your organization and your donor. So shaping the customer experience needs to be something that everybody is thinking about working together. And we're going to get back to customer experience in a bit because that's a really essential concept. But I just wanted to give all of this background for folks, and now we're going to get into the meat of today, which is the 21st Century Leadership Challenge of Marketing and Fundraising. And I've got this silly little graphic for you because you may have heard this, good intentions don't move mountains, bulldozers do. And your outcomes, the why that you are doing all of this, is basically your mountain. It's where you want to go. And to paraphrase Lewis Carroll, if you don't know where you're going, you'll very likely get there. So we all need to get clarity on the outcome. You have to build your plan first, but you can't just leave it at that. You need the strategies to do the work. And the bulldozers are the strategies. And then you need to agree on an infrastructure, an investment, so that your organization can work productively. You have to have the budget and the staff and the organization and management systems to get the results that you're really looking for. So here's my favorite Peter Drucker quote of all time. The best plan is only good intentions unless it degenerates into work. And that means to me not working hard, but working smart, focused on meaningful accomplishments, not make-work stuff that you just check off of a list, which is a way that a lot of fundraising and marketing tends to be done. Not that thoughtfully, but just kind of like, oh, we're supposed to send out a newsletter, let's do it. Oh, did that. So you really want to think about actions that are going to get you your desired results. Actions that are going to predispose people to take your desired action response. All right, so here we go. So marketing and fundraising together at last. Marketing is going to be our Prince Charming, and fundraising is going to be our enchanting princess. And I know this is corny, but I hope this way you will remember why it is so important to keep them married, because they are really meant to be together. And it's the only way that they are going to create a happily ever after for your organization and for your supporters. And this is only going to work if you, as leaders, assure that fundraising is seen as a mission-focused function. It's not just a support function. If you get clarity on your marketing and fundraising goals, in order to facilitate philanthropy, we're going to go over each one of these. And if you develop strategies that move from what is called vanity or checklist marketing to transformative experiential marketing, you offer supporters value in exchange for the value they provide to you. You call for actions that will move your mission forward, and you, again, invest in infrastructure so that as you're integrating your marketing and fundraising functions, you're clearly all headed in the same direction. So let's start at the top with assuring that fundraising is seen as a mission-focused function. So I'm going to throw out a question, which is, in your organization, is fundraising Cinderella to your nonprofit content marketing and online communication? And if I was with you in person, I'd be looking for a show of hands. What I find is that too often fundraising is made to sit in the corner while her stepsisters, content marketing and online communication, get busy dressing up for the ball. And these stepsisters often think that all they have to do is look pretty and they'll naturally get chosen. And this kind of plays out I talk to people all the time who say, well, if people only knew about us, they'd support us. the stepsisters are like, if the prince would just see us, he would want us. But that's not what their target cares about. The prince doesn't care about that, and he's looking for their inner beauty, and he doesn't see it there. They have nothing he wants. Cinderella might have been able to give them a clue about what the prince wants, just as fundraising might be able to give marketers a clue about what donors want. But nobody bothers to include Cinderella in the planning because they think that she is dirty. And you know, how often have you heard people talk about fundraising being dirty and evil? It deals with money. We consider money filthy lucre. So, is possibly fundraising the dirty stepsister at your nonprofit? If so, you've got to not hide fundraising in a corner. And too often, all of these functions, the content marketing, the online communications, fundraising, they're all considered to be stepchildren. It's not a unified, cohesive family. Everybody's bickering all the time, often undermining one another. Often one or the other is considered subordinate. And fundraising often fares the worst because it's seen as a support function rather than an essential mission-focused one. Like, this money, these donors are essential for our survival. We're all in this together. Donations just don't go into fundraisers' pockets. They make it possible for the program staff to continue doing their work. But fundraising still seems to be seen as a necessary evil. So I'd love to find out a little bit more about where you stand, and I want to launch a poll where you consider how you or your coworkers or your board members might answer the following question. What is the primary purpose of our nonprofit marketing strategy? Not ideally, but what do you think it is right now? So do you have that poll, Stephen, or do I?
There we go. Should be on screen now.
Okay, so note whether you think your primary purpose of your nonprofit marketing strategy is building awareness, raising money, or they're equally important. I can't tell, Stephen, if people are filling it out.
They are. They're coming in. Looks like equally is winning by about 56%. And building awareness is in second place at about a third of the people. And only 10% say raising money.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, for those who said awareness, I'm going to say something a little harsh. Go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Because with that attitude, you're not going to collect much. You're kind of like the stepsisters. It's all show, no go. Your answer to the question really should be money. That should be the primary purpose, earned or contributed money. But the money is the bottom line. Creating awareness is merely a precondition to sales. And I know I'm being a bit harsh here, but if you think about it, it really doesn't matter if folks are aware of your existence if they don't give 2 cents, whether you continue to exist. So awareness building has to be explicitly purposeful. And here's what matters in today's connected world. You've got to make what you do and the way you do it matter. And in a nutshell, that's what both marketing and fundraising staff have to do. You have to excel at making your case for support in a manner that effectively does the job within our current online zeitgeist. So you have to assure the right people find you. Once they do, they'll give a fig about you. Define yourself so you really stand out and so you're relevant to what these people care about. And define yourself with clarity so you don't confuse people with inconsistent messaging. And then invite people to join you in your unfolding story. So you don't want to get busy just counting all the issues of newsletters and blog posts and social media followers you have and email openings and stuff. You want to ask these important questions. How will this piece of content help those who receive it? How will it transform their lives? How will it further our mission? So how do you get to the bottom line of what really matters? How do you get clarity on your goals that are all oriented to facilitate philanthropy so your mission can continue, or at least facilitate earned income so you can continue? So you have to ask and answer the question, why are we creating awareness through marketing? What do you want to get out of the fact that folks see or read or listen to this content? And I'll wager that you are hoping to make a values match between your organization and the values you enact and the donor, what they care about. A match that creates an engagement. And engagement is not just a natural outgrowth of awareness, that if only they knew that we existed, they'd surely support us. You have to put in place the follow-up steps that turn awareness into interest, engagement, and investment. You can't just meet people. You can't just woo people. You've got to get to the proposal. So again, just checking marketing transactions off of your list as done won't work. Who cares if this doesn't move your mission forward? So marketing and fundraising, again, have to go together. Effective marketing gets people's attention. Effective fundraising keeps it. But if marketing gets the attention of the wrong people or uses the wrong methodology, gives them the wrong content, puts it in the wrong channel, then fundraisers can't do their job. Because to me, the prospective donor, there's only one suitor, and that's your organization. I don't care if your message comes from marketing or fundraising or volunteer services or whatever. To me, I just want to know who you are as a complete whole person, not a split personality, because that's not engaging to me. So let's look at how to move from transactions to more of an integrated transformative experience for your constituents. So again, not about checking tasks off a list. It's basically about getting to the point where your donor looks in the mirror and feels dressed up and ready for the ball. They feel like the chosen one. They see a hero that can give a happy ending to your story, and that's what they want to be. So if you stop to think about it, the best fundraising and marketing is really all about the customer experience or the donor experience, working with people at whatever point they are right now towards becoming more actively engaged with you. And it's all moving, hopefully, towards a transformative experience when they make a gift and feel really awesome about what they're doing to change the world. And that's what people want. They want this unified, satisfying experience. And if they're not satisfied, they leave. They flip out of that swirling vortex and go off to somebody else's vortex. So the challenge here is that there are so many channels where people can encounter you. And you can trip up by showing a marketing suitor in one place and a fundraising suitor in another place and a volunteer program suitor someplace else. And people don't want that because it's frustrating to them. It's exhausting to them, confusing. It's the antithesis of engaging. You're hopefully heading to marriage and a vow of loyalty. You need to head there as marketers and fundraisers hand in hand so that people really get a clear idea of your identity and where they fit in with you. Because donors want a happily ever after. They really want a meaningful, experiential transformation. They really don't want isolated transactions. So to make sure that they get that experience, you need to also rethink the way that you frame your strategy. So here's the difference between transaction and transformation. Transaction is kind of, we did this marketing thing. We got 1,000 new Twitter followers. The transformative is more that this result happened. We got 1,000 new donations and sent donors "You're our hero, thank you" emails. I know there's a typo in "your." We did this marketing thing. We got 50 people to share our story. Well, how is that helpful unless this fundraising result happened? 50 people with whom the story was shared became new donors. We created this awesome video and we shared at our event. One-time transaction. Much more transformative if you put the video on your website, share links to it on multiple social channels, and include a donate link at the end that generates new gifts. So it's really thinking through every piece of content so that you can leverage it to get to the results that you're looking for, which is a meaningful, moving experience for a supporter that inclines them to invest with you. Kind of like moves on a chessboard that have purpose, not random moves. So here I've got another little metaphor for you. Often people in marketing say content is king. So I'm supposing that if content is king, fundraising is queen. And by ruling together, they create a great experience for all of their subjects. And really, everyone has to care about content. Fundraisers have to care about content. It's king across the board. It's really the what. It's your case for support. And fundraising is the why. It's because you need the money to further your case for support. So the what and the why have to always be tied together. The why is the bottom line. And then all the other pieces create the experience. They make engaging with you meaningful at every step, any place in the vortex, wherever people are. It goes beyond transactions and invites people to identify as part of your community, as part of your brand. So it's not all about you. It's about you showing people where they fit with you, you showing people you've got their back, you care about them, and then they will show you they've got your back, but not before that. And your brand, your what and why, become a platform from which all other dialogue content ensues. So the donor experience is really something you have to look at on a macro, organization-wide level. Fundraiser can do the best job possible trying to woo a supporter, but if that person encounters a rude receptionist or a program staffer that repeatedly fails to return calls, then all of the fundraiser's good work is destroyed. So again, breaking down barriers that prevent not just fundraising and marketing from working well together, but fundraising and marketing and program staff from cooperating. Otherwise, your customer experience, your donor experience is compromised. So you want to ask always, what value are we offering people in exchange for the value we're asking them to give? Does the shoe fit for that particular person? And here's Jerry McGovern, who's an online customer experience expert, says we need to turn advertising on its head. On the web, the customer is now the advertiser. When they search, they are placing an ad. Traditional marketing is about getting attention, while web marketing is about giving it. So do you have processes in place to look at what articles people are opening, what articles they're sharing, what tweets they're opening? Because it all gives you a window into what these folks are interested in, as opposed to making all of your content about you. We're the oldest, the biggest, we won an award, we got a grant, we rebranded our website, we refurnished our offices, we hired new staff, we got a new board member. Is that of value to your donor? You really need to ask that question, because they want something that they can use to meet their needs. And it could be just for information, but it could be spiritual or emotional or psychological or something that allows them to fulfill a moral obligation or give back. It's not about you bragging. And this is so important. I'm constantly saying if you want gifts, you must give them. You have to be your donor's fairy godmother. And you have to think about the types of gifts that people want, that are interesting to them, so that, breaking timely news from your organization, or piggybacking on news that's happening in the world and showing the donors how you're working on those problems that they're already thinking about, that they already care about. Stories are a gift. We are wired to enter into stories. We love bedtime stories. So thinking about how to recycle better, tips to baby-proof your home, things that are related to your cause, informational stuff that you have hanging around that you maybe do in your work that your donors could use as well. Recommendations, recommended reading, movies to see, things to do on the weekend. People like to have suggestions of things. It brightens up their lives. Compelling images. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. We enjoy looking at photos. Games that people can play. Live video. Not enough nonprofits are doing live video, and research shows that they are watched 3 times more than regular videos. But even if you don't do it live, any video gets a lot of shares, and it doesn't have to be long and scripted and edited with background music. You could just interview a loyal volunteer or do a Skype call with a loyal donor. Ask a new staff member what drew them to your nonprofit. If you have a smartphone and a creative spirit, the possibilities are really endless now for giving people compelling content that makes them kind of sit up and take notice and feel something, feel good, feel outraged, or just feel intrigued by what you shared with them, so that they'll ultimately want to act. So let me show you one example that just shows you. These are social media posts from a food bank, and there are different ways of going at it. So the first is, here are ugly veggies, and it's not really a gift. There's no call to action. It's simply educational. And the idea is getting people aware that in the warehouse, food comes in that's misshapen that can't be sold in the stores, but just getting people aware is a bit passive and ultimately kind of useless. Even though it's cute, it's kind of a lead balloon if you don't inspire action. So you don't want to have any content that you put up there be a standalone, be only a first step. Here are ugly veggies. You want to think it through. You want to try to add something that's a little bit more sticky. And that could be something like number 2, which is interactive, which is vote for the ugliest. And it's a gift of a game. It's a call to interact by voting. And once the vote is in, then they ask people to share the results. So that's a bit more sticky. The number 3 is kind of a mind-blowing, like rescue a veggie. So you're reminding people that you are rescuing these, that this food otherwise goes to waste. You're going to give this food to people, that it's truly manna from heaven for them to get this food. And it's a call to donate, to make a difference. And then the 4th one is just straightforward emotional. You show a hungry kid eating a carrot. You ask people to donate and be the hero to this kid. Which brings us right to the next important strategy, which is to always think about calling for actions that are going to move your mission forward, not vague actions, which we all fall into the trap of, like, oh, we're doing this to raise awareness or to educate or to engage or to empower or to bring hope. Cinderella didn't ask her fairy godmother to give her hope. She asked for something specific, a ball gown, plus a little overhead like the coach and the coachman, all because she wanted to meet the prince, and that's the best way she knew to do it. So if you're investing in marketing, you should be always thinking about the specific desired results you want to get. So go back to your marketing work plan and your fundraising work plan and have a good reason for doing everything on that plan. Always ask, why are we doing specifically this? What do we want to happen as a result of doing this? And is this the best way to get to this end? So you always want to establish bottom line goals. So if someone comes to you People are always going to marketing staff and saying, we need a video, we need a brochure, we need to post more often to Facebook, we need a blog, whatever. You have to ask them, why? What do you hope to accomplish by that? And there might be a better way to do it. So you're always establishing bottom line goals so that you can measure your results. And if what you're putting out there looks good and sounds good to you, but it's not fundamentally grounded in what you want to happen next, then what is the point of it? It's kind of like all those terrific award-winning commercials you watch that sometimes make you smile, sometimes make you laugh, but do you remember what product they were selling? Sometimes you do. Sometimes they even inspire you to buy the product. But more often, you can't even remember what that great ad was selling. And that means the advertising didn't do its job. So I want you to build content this year that does its job. And so you have to consider the types of actions that are going to get you closer to your goal and then commit to measure those things. So what is going to grab you the type of attention that you need to survive and thrive? What will get people to care? And then see if they did. Did they open it? What will get people to share? And then see if they retweeted or reposted or shared your email. What will enlist new recruits to your army? Did people become your advocate? What will raise money so you can continue to fight the good fight? Did people donate? So you don't want to do anything, I think, without bringing your fundraising and your marketing staff together to ask these questions about anything that you put in your plan. Seth Godin says, each cohort of customers has a particular worldview. Each cohort has a price they're willing to pay, a story they are willing to hear, a period of time they're willing to invest. Too often, we pick the product or service first, deciding that it's perfect, and then rushing to market, sure that the audience will sort itself out. We do that a lot in nonprofits. We just pick a story that we want to talk about, or our ED tells us, I want you to promote this right now. And it may not be anything that the audience of people that we want to engage so that they support us and make sure that we continue to exist, it might not be something they're interested in. So again, these are questions you want to sit down as a team and ask. What are we wanting our reader, our listener, our viewer to feel as a result of this piece of content? What do we want them to do next? You're always moving towards something. What do we want them to do ultimately? In other words, within a defined time frame. How are we going to get people to that place by following up with additional content? You don't want things to just stand in isolation. You don't want to just do a video at an event if you're never going to follow up with the people who saw that video. How will you assess that this content achieved its objectives? And now we get to the big kahuna, which is integrating your marketing and fundraising staff so that you are really headed in the same direction. And the advice to get rid of silos is nothing new, but I'm curious to see whether you're siloed or not at your nonprofit. So if we could launch this next poll, that would be great. Just let us know how your marketing and fundraising are structured now. Are you integrated under one manager? Do you have separate departments under separate managers who have equal authority? Does marketing report to fundraising? Does fundraising report to marketing? Do you have a one-person shop or no formal structure at all? Stephen, are results coming in?
Yeah, pretty interesting. Hardly anyone has fundraising reporting to marketing. The winner is 2 separate departments and 2 separate managers. And in second place is a one-person shop. But pretty evenly split between 20 and 30% between integrated two separate departments, one-person shops, and no formal structure. But very few have a reporting structure of one to the other. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting, and research has shown that fundraising reporting to marketing tends to be the smallest thing, but I would advocate moving towards integrated departments under one manager, but I'm going to show you what happens. So what we see happening is that the marketing staff thinks that the fundraising staff doesn't care about what they're trying to accomplish, the sales stuff. And the fundraising staff think that the marketing staff don't really care about the donor experience. And, you know, obviously, marketing staff should think about the donor experience because all customers are potential donors. Also, all donors are potential customers. Fundraising staff should think about their full range of customers, about meeting people where they are, and not just about monetary transactions all the time, because there's a time and a place to ask for money, and it's not always right away. And it's one of the reasons that marketing people are sometimes hesitant to share their list with fundraising staff. And the bottom line is you both share your markets completely. And that's why fundraisers have to take mastery of content marketing seriously, not thinking of it as something that, well, we'll just delegate that to the marketing staff. They handle that because marketing staff really need your input about donors and what they care about. Otherwise, you can't have a donor-centered experience. And you need marketers' input. They know a lot of stuff that you don't know. So you each need to be asking, well, what is in this for our shared target market? And with all of your communications, as we've seen, your shared goal is to drive deeper engagement, moving folks along the pipeline or the funnel or up and down and sideways through the vortex. And you only win by working together. So everybody has to eliminate this thinking, well, that's not my job. True development, the term development incorporates both marketing and fundraising. It means development of resources. And these are resources you all need, so it should be a shared job. And there's data that has come out in the Nonprofit Communications Trend Report that Kivi LaRue Miller does every year, where she surveys marketers and fundraisers and EDs. And it adds more good reasons why you should really consider a reorg that brings marketing and fundraising together. So let's look at that. And you'll see that 39% have an integrated team. 37% have separate marketing and fundraising teams. And what's, I think, really persuasive is that staff on the integrated team are 4 times as likely to say they feel directly responsible for fundraising goals. They are also twice as likely to feel responsible for community building and engagement goals. And that's really what you want. You want everybody to feel responsible for fundraising, community building, and engagement. And then what's really remarkable to me is that job satisfaction is significantly higher among staff on integrated teams. So it's because people have clarity on their goals and their responsibilities, so they don't feel like it's this big tug of war. And here's another graphic from the report which shows how much more satisfied people are when they're on integrated teams. And also they're very satisfied on separate but equal teams. The bottom line is that when staff are feeling more responsible for results and they're liking their work more, then you get the benefit that you're likely to keep folks with you longer and reduce costs from staff turnover. So what can you do to work towards a more workable integration? So you want to commit. You have to kind of buy into this. Not if you build it, they will come, because that's simply not true. People don't give to you just because you exist and you do good work. They will come if you build what they want tell them about it in a manner and place that makes them sit up and pay attention. And that's what you're trying to accomplish by combining your marketing and fundraising. So you need to build this resource development team. And that means you have to interview and train for both marketing and donor relations fundraising skills. And on the marketing side, you need people who know how to find the target market for what you built, who know how to figure out why they are interested in what you built. It's kind of like the difference between a sweater company that sells sweaters to people who are buying them because they want to keep warm versus a sweater company that sells sweaters because they're buying them because they want to stay stylish and look trendy. So you have to know who your folks are, otherwise you're going to be going out with the wrong message. And so you need people like that. You need people who understand where, the communication mediums that your target market frequents, and when, the most likely times to reach them to convey your message. And then, of course, you want to hire folks who know how to craft compelling donor-centered copy. Not just any writing, donor-centered copy and graphics. And fundraisers need to know about this stuff too. Otherwise, if they just accept everything that the marketing team does, they might be, using the exact kinds of images that many studies have shown don't work as well. So, again, you want people who know what types of actions that really engage folks and drive them along the continuum, like social media links, videos, quizzes, games, peer-to-peer campaigns, little gifts of content like I talked about earlier. You need to be able to work with your marketers and suggest these things. And you need people that understand how to create really great donor experiences that engage people and how to craft ask strategies that facilitate getting to yes for philanthropic gifts. Obviously, all of these are topics unto themselves. To do this effectively in the 21st century, you need to invest in infrastructure and technology. You need these tools. And so if you don't have all of these tools, you're going to be kind of handicapped. You can't really keep pace with today's rapidly changing realities. It's really penny wise and pound foolish to not have all of these capabilities. So once you've got professional staff and tools, there's a few more actions I'd like you to commit to taking. They're here. We're almost out of time, so I'm going to skip over this since you can see this. I'm going to skip over these quotes because you can read them. And I just want to conclude with reminding you of this really important concept, I think. Consider that your nonprofit operates within the values universe. And there are people out there who have lots of different values. They care about education, they care about social welfare, they care about the arts, the environment. You want to uncover leads or prospects who care about what you do. And that's where the blue egg comes in. That's where marketing development come in. That's where the fairy godmother is waving her magic wand and all sorts of strategies to try to uncover the people who share these values. And you fill your funnel with all of these kinds of strategies. And then once you've found people that care about what you do, you match them to you doing what you do. That's a values match. That's where you close the deal. It happens pretty seamlessly, and the happily ever after match is made. So we have no time for questions, but here we are.
Well, that was great, Claire. That was chock full of lots of great advice. So thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your day to tell us all about this really important topic. I think people enjoyed it based on what I can see in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, if I would say one thing is that you need to work together and you need to plan within a context. That every marketing and fundraising strategy should be a stepping stone to the next. That's how you really create a transformational change that has a lasting impact for your organization and for your donors. so that you're not moving kind of blindly from transaction to transaction, madly throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. So you can't always just be reacting. You always have to be asking, if this, then why this? Why specifically this? And if this now, then what next? And if you want gifts, you have to give them.
Yes. Claire, this is fabulous. And I know we didn't get to questions, but how can people get a hold of you? Is it okay if they email you, reach out to you on Twitter? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. You can email me. You can see on the slide where I'm at. I hope you will visit Clarification. I offer Clarification School, which is an online kind of fundraising training on all topics, nonprofit marketing and fundraising. It's $100 for a full year. It's like nothing. It just pays my expenses. But I love to share everything that I've learned and continue to learn, because the world's problems are just too big to keep it all to oneself. So please help me keep the school going. I would love to work with you. And shoot me a question if there's something that was burning and I didn't have a chance to answer.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend people check out the Clarification School. We bought a subscription here at Bloomerang just to be able to access the content. And for $100, Claire should be charging probably $10,000 for the value there. So check that out. Definitely follow her blog, follow her on Twitter, because obviously she's a wealth of information, as you saw in this presentation. So thank you all for hanging out with us for an hour or so this morning, this afternoon. We've got some great presentations coming up in our webinar schedule as well. Claire's coming back in September, I think, is the month that we're having her back. But we've got a session every week between now and then. Next week, we've got Kitty Miller. So the research that Claire mentioned today, we've got the author of that coming on next week. Good follow-up to this presentation, I would say, how to manage your communications team. So check that out, whether you're fundraising, marketing, communications, all in one. That's going to be something in there for you. So check that out. Totally free, totally educational, 1 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place next week. So hopefully we'll see you on that session. If not, hopefully we'll see you on another session sometime soon, some Thursday in the future. So look for an email from me with the slides and the recording. I'll get that out today. And hopefully we'll see you next week. So have a good rest of your Thursday. Have a fun and safe weekend. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. Bye now.